Hello you guys and welcome back to my channel. So yes, like I said in my last video, we are going to be discussing Toni Morrison's God Help the Child. When I tell y'all I have been wanting to read this book since it came out in 2015, but I couldn't find it at Barnes and Nobles or Books A Million, right? And the other lady in Dade City whose bookstore I go to, she only really carry used books, so she didn't have a copy of God Help the Child. But it was at Walmart. I just wasn't giving Walmart no more of my coins for books anymore because I need the bookstores to stay in business. So anyway, y'all, read the synopsis, tell y'all about a little bit of what happened and give you my overall thoughts on it. At the center of the novel is a young woman who calls herself Bride, whose stunning blue-black skin is only one element of her beauty, her boldness and confidence, her success in life, but which caused her light-skinned mother to deny her even the simplest forms of love. There is Booker, the man Bride loves and loses to anger, Rain, the mysterious white child with whom she crosses paths, and finally Bride's mother herself, Sweetness, who takes a lifetime to come to understand that what you do to children matters and they might never forget. A fiery and provocative novel, God Help the Child, the first book by Toni Morrison to be set in our current moment, weaves a tale about the way the sufferings of childhood can shape and misshape the life of the adult. Y'all, this book was the book that I have been searching for all my life, right? You know how they say if there's a story that you want to read but hasn't been told to write that story, this was a story that I had been looking for, right? But I didn't even know it was what I was looking for until I picked up the book. So it's like I had to do that thing when it said it was set in our current moment. Like, it was hard for me to discern if this was set in 2015 or not because of the language that her mother used and the way her mother acted. It was like, you don't have to act like that if your child was born like in the 80s, 90s. You didn't have to act the way her mother act. So anywho, let's get right up into it, y'all. Bride is a dark-skinned child born to, both a light-skinned mulatto mother, light-skinned mulatto father. Like, their entire family was all fair, so fair to the point that I believe her maternal great-grandmother was able to pass as white, and she would like act like she didn't even know her children if they passed her on the street, right? Hold on, let me make sure I get that right. Yeah, she was like, her mother says, you should have seen my grandmother. She passed for white and never said another word to any of her children. Any letter she got from my mother and aunts, she sent right back unopened. Right? So, Bride comes out extremely dark to this mother. Her mother is ashamed of her to the point that she says that she didn't want this pickaninny suckling at her breast, and she gave her the bottle as soon as she gets home. Now, that was just awful, right? Her husband comes home because he's a porter on the railroad. You know, back in the day, them porters made pretty good money. I don't know if they make money like that now because I never rode a train. But I know back in the day, them porters made really good money. But he come home and he's like, what is this? What is this? He doesn't believe she's cheated on him, but he's still unsure. Like, where did this baby come from? Because everybody in their family is light skinned, right? They forget genetics. It could skip, may never show up, but genetics. So eventually her husband, moves out, but he still sends her child support, right? Because he ain't no old, no good dude. He still sends her child support, and she applies for welfare, and she's approved for it, and she says that does all right with her. But her mother's so ashamed of her to the point that when she goes out to find apartments, she doesn't even take her dark-skinned child with her because she feels like people will deny her if they see this child with her, and she don't want people to know that's her child too. So she don't even take the little girl with her when the child comes out. Now, it didn't talk about how the rest of her family interacted with the with Bride. Let me see. Yeah, it didn't really say how the rest of her family interacted with her, being that she was the dark-skinned girl of them all. Whatever, but she was so fixated on the little girl's skin color and lips and features and everything like that. It was like almost sickening. Like, y'all ever watched that video of the Prince family when they was talking about I can't think of the little girl name. I saw the clip of it on Instagram, YouTube, somewhere like that. And they was like just going on about how the little girl's features were, about she was gonna be dark or whatever like that. Like, that was exactly how this woman was in this book. Like, she was just so obsessed with the way her daughter looked. Like, her daughter didn't have any, more fine or thinner features. She was It was just crazy to see this, right? So she makes it up in her mind that she's gonna make sure that Bride never thinks too highly of herself, that Bride knows exactly what it's like to be a black woman in America. And so with that, part of her resolve is she's never gonna show that girl any love, any kindnesses, any pleasantries or anything like that. So Bride grows up. She's a successful makeup cosmetic supplier, and she has her own line called She Girl, I believe, or Girl She Girl. That's the name of her line, or whatever. And you meet Bride in the now, and she's with this man that she loves, but the man leaves her and tells her she's not the woman that he thought she was, right? And so after he leaves, she goes and meet this woman who gets out of prison. The woman tells her that the woman was in prison for 15 years, and the woman tells her, excuse me, and she doesn't recognize who she is. So she follows the lady to her hotel room, and she apologizes to the lady for being one of the kids who accused her of molestation and rape. So the lady attacked her, right? The lady beat her down to the ground. But back up. When she goes to apologize to the lady, she has $5,000 and a whole bunch of cosmetics and clothes to give to the lady to start her life anew. But that lady ain't trying to hit her. Like I said, she beat her down. So she ends up going to the hospital. Once she gets out of the hospital, she's determined to go out and find her man, Booker, right? And on her journey to find Booker, she crashes her car and she meets this little white child named Rain. Rain goes back and gets her adopted parents who, helps her to retrieve her car from the wreckage. They take her home and they nurse her back to life, right? Because I believe she had a broken ankle or something like that. And as they nursing her back to life, she comes to know the story of Rain. Rain ran away from home because her mother was, like pimping her daughter out. And Rain is like 11 or something like that. And the people who found Rain, the couple, they found her outside, in the rain, hungry and everything like that, and just brought her home. But at first the little girl was resistant because, she had been sexually abused and everything like that. But her and Bride forms a bond, and she considers Bride her big sister, and she doesn't want Bride to leave her, anything like that, even though she's not being abused. She just get a bond with Bride, and she doesn't want to leave her. So eventually Bride finds out where her man is, right? And she goes to the house where she goes to a house where his bookkeeper tells him, hold on, I'm trying to say it right, y'all. She goes to a house that she goes to a house, where Booker's aunt lives, and she tells Bride how to find him. He's around the corner, and she meets him and she confronts him and asks him, why did she leave him? Because her life went on this downward spiral after he left, and she's saying that her hair is falling out, like she no longer have any pubic hairs anywhere. Then she says her breasts are gone. This is all, why the story is transpiring. She just realized something about her, that she doesn't look the same anymore. But nobody comments on, the fact that her breast is gone and she no longer has any pubic hair anywhere. But she sees it, right? So he tells her that he was upset with her for going to meet that convicted child molester, right? And that's when, you find out that he was upset with her for going to meet the lady because his brother was killed by this serial killer after being molested. And I believe his brother was chopped up, and the serial killer had kidnapped and murdered 6 to 8 little black boys, and he and his brother was extremely close. And he was traumatized by that. He was upset at his family for moving on and not establishing a memorial. Like he was mad at them for not, grieving forever the way he was. Like he went off to college, received 2 degrees, and he was still like living in the darkness of his brother's murder and funeral. So he was upset with her because she was going to meet this lady who had been convicted of, raping children. And that's when it comes out that she lied the entire time. She lied the entire time, but she lied because she wanted her mother to touch her and hug her and make her feel special. And so her mother took her to get her ears pierced and, was parading her daughter around because she was so proud of her daughter for getting up on the stand testifying. And that's when we find out that, she wasn't really pointing at the lady that was accused of, molestation and rape, she was really pointing at the landlord, but the landlord wasn't on, he wasn't up there, right? So she was really pointing at that white lady who was accused of it. And, kind of find out what happened was she saw her landlord raping a little boy back in the day, and her mother slapped her in the face and told her never to mention it again because she didn't want to be put out or anything like that. So that was her way of trying to tell on the landlord, but the landlord isn't on trial. You pointed at the lady. So her and Booker, they eventually make up and they get married and all is well. But y'all, this was an amazing, such an amazing book. It touched on colorism, it touched on racism, just how you treat a child, period. And Bride is, that's my neighbors over the dog, y'all. They always let his little ass just show out all the time. That don't make no sense. Most people with dogs, they hold their dog on a leash while they let them run around out there in the dog park or use bathroom. I mean, they hold their dog on a leash when they go into the bathroom. They just let him run all around in the people yards and stuff like that. They be like, sorry when he coming out your yard. No, keep your dog on a leash. Gotta leave. Sorry, y'all. But I thought this was an amazing story. It was well worth the wait for me. Like I said, I've been wanting to read it for years. One of the things that really stuck out to me was that whole, the whole colorism thing. Because that topic, I'll be honest with y'all, sometimes it's exhausting to see, everybody always talking about that. Yeah, we've all experienced, but I felt like she handled it in a really good way because, we all read about the white man raping, the black woman, and the black woman having a child, a light-skinned child or mixed child, and that she's ashamed of that child, right? Because everybody knows she was raped, but everybody gonna blame it on her for what happened to her. So it was really interesting to see the tides turn to be, the light-skinned mother doesn't particularly like her dark-skinned child. I feel like she loved the child, but she didn't like her, show the little girl in love. So, if you ever read that book, Rhythms, Cora was raped by her white employer, and she gave birth to a light-skinned child, but it didn't talk about her not loving, what was her name? Emma. She loved Emma, but she was just, so ashamed of what happened to her. So, I'm really interested in it from that part. Now, I'll be honest with y'all, they say this book was set in current times, but I don't know, I was kind of getting confused because Lula Mae, her mother was Lula, Birdie, Bride, whatever. Her mother was talking about how her mother told her not to use the white water fountains. So, not to use the colored water fountains. So I was kind of thinking if Bride was born in even the, if she was born in the 80s, I don't know. It was just confusing. It was just really confusing about, how you shouldn't be ashamed to get welfare anymore. And I don't know. Just some of that stuff was super confusing. If it was set in current times, nobody's looking for her. Nobody has GPS to her phone or anything. After the accident, when she was going to find Booker, she crashed her Jaguar. Nobody GPSed her to her phone to find out where she was when she was missing for 6 weeks. She let her girlfriend know that she was having some hard times, and that was it. But nobody thought to look for her, even though she and her mother didn't get along. Still, her job. Nobody filed a missing person report after she said that she was just needed some time for herself. So that too. Booker was low key an old jerkified jerk. Cause for me, I'm thinking, if I was a man, well, I ain't a man, but I'm thinking I want to know, why does she want to go and meet this woman she's accused of what is, convicted child rapist so bad, try to find out instead of just going in on her, mad at her for wanting to do so, try to find out. And look how stupid he looked after he found out about the whole situation. Then Lula Mae, aka Bride, she and her mother don't have a relationship in and out, but her mother still to feel like she didn't do anything wrong, really, because she just calls Bride and Bride sends her money, and she knows that Bride only do that to assuage her guilt for not coming to see her. But I just feel like Bride shouldn't feel guilty about not coming to see you, lady. You didn't want to see her when she was growing up, so she shouldn't feel guilty about you. But at the end, let me read it to y'all. If I sound irritable, ungrateful, part of it is because underneath is regret. All the little things I didn't do or did wrong. I remember when she had her first period and how I reacted, or the times I shouted when she stumbled or dropped something, how I screamed at her to keep her from tattling on the landlord, how I was true, I really was upset, even repelled by her black skin when she was born. And at first I thought of, no, I have to push those memories aside. No point. I know I did the best for her under the circumstances. Lula May was a burden. Yeah, I was tough on her. You bet I was. And she was like, now she's pregnant, and if you think mothering is all cool in booties and diapers, you're in for a big shock. You and your nameless boyfriend, husband, pick up whatever. Imagine, ooh, a baby. So, she was still trying to justify all the things that she had done wrong, even though she recognized that she did wrong with her dealings with Lula May. But overall, y'all, it was a great book. Of course, I'm definitely going to recommend it because I love me some Toni Morrison. And I actually want to do a documentary on Toni Morrison. But, your girl got to get her editing skills up more. I've been practicing, but it gotta be good. But yes, y'all definitely pick up God Help the Child. It's really a really good book. I think you guys would totally enjoy it because Miss Girl was fashioned down to the gods. Bride was, and her all white. That's all she wore was all white and pearls here and there. She was very successful, even I thought that she'd been through. But yeah, y'all definitely pick this up. Again, I don't know how it was set in current moments because some of the stuff made it seem like it was set like in the 80s. But anyway, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.